Hey guys, this is Comic and today I'm doing a review for Supergirl. So let's start talking about this episode. Now first I'm going to say, I wasn't really that excited for this episode because I thought this was just going to be a full flashback episode. And obviously we've seen those type of things with Arrow, not really Flash, but mostly Arrow. And I was like, do I really want to see a whole episode about how Manhunter, or Martian Manhunter, or John Jones met Alex and Kara's father. And thank God that wasn't the whole episode, and this episode blew me away. Maybe because I, again, didn't have that many expectations for this episode, but once again, Supergirl just being amazing, because in this episode we get to see the aftermath of Martian Manhunter being caught by the government, and then they end up also talking to Alex, and they're both going to jail because they're like, well, you were an alien hiding from everyone, you lied, and then Alex, you knew about it, we can't really prove it, but we think you did. So Project Cadmus is actually name dropped in this episode, and they're about to be sent there, but we see Kara actually get up the nerve to tell Lucy that she's Supergirl, because she sees that's the only way to save her sister. And then Lucy accepts that after Kara is able to tell her side of the story, and they actually team up. Now, the big reveal in the end of the episode is that Alex and Kara's father is still alive, is actually at Project Cadmus, which makes me really curious because if you guys don't read the comics, Project Cadmus is also the place that created Superboy. So maybe we'll get some glimpses of that. Maybe Alex's father's related to that in some way, because that would be interesting because he also played Superman in the Lois and Clark television show. So I'm just really curious to see what they do with the rest of Project Cadmus in the season, because I think that's going to be the main focus as we get towards the finale. But it does mean that Alex and Kara are not going to really be interacting with each other, it seems, for a good amount of episodes. And now we get to see Lucy's actually the head of the DEO for the time being. And this is going to be a really interesting relationship between Lucy and Kara now that Lucy does know that Kara's Supergirl. And then the B plot is Saban obviously trying to get her job back, and of course she can't do that in a clean way. She has to try to send an email to Cat Grant pretending to be Kara, saying all these mean things about Cat that Cat says she could not say because it's too profound, and too much profanity there. And we see that Wynn is able to figure out that it was Saban, and they break up in the end of the episode. But big cliffhanger is that right when she's really drunk, she falls off the building while Wynn is watching, and it seems like either she's discovered her silver banshee powers or she already knew she had them. And that's the end of the episode. And then next week is the Flash and Supergirl crossover, which I'll talk about a little later. But like I said, I was really pleasantly surprised with this episode, and I loved it. I love superhero reveals and secret identity reveals, and it made sense here. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't like, oh, of course you told Lucy. That's weird. Honestly, it was really built up to tell her, not just because of James' storyline, but because of her own, and what Supergirl says here, what Kara says to her, saying that I know what it feels like to be alone. And that makes sense because Lucy has been very alone throughout this whole season, and she's been very, sidelined in the season. Jimmy wanting to kind of choose Kara, and that's why she was even in National City, because of Jimmy. And then in this moment, she just kind of pushed back into her military job, and she just doesn't really know where to go with her life. And then Kara's like, I can relate to that, and I'm an alien, and I just love the conversation she has with Lucy, and I'm really excited to see that friendship. I mean, when Lucy was first announced to be in the show, I was really excited, and I was a little disappointed that she was sidelined in the season, but now it really does make sense, and I think we're going to see a lot of character strengths, and hopefully by the end of the season say, hey, she'll be a series regular, because I would really like to see that. So yeah, I love Lucy in this episode. Well-deserved kind of spotlight on her here. Again, a little disappointed that Alex and Kara won't be seeing each other, but I'm very excited to see what this whole Project Cadmus story is going to be about. And then the Silver Banshee ending was really cool, because like I said, end in a way where you don't really know if she knew she had the curse. And obviously in the next episode, we're going to figure out a little bit more about Silver Banshee and the curse and that storyline. So I'm really curious if this is something she was worried about, if this is something she knew, or she was just totally drunk and she found out she had these powers. And it looked awesome on screen too. And how Wynn's going to be related to that. And of course, one thing I also want to say, which was great in this episode, were the flashbacks. Because in the beginning of this review, I said I was worried that this would just be a flashback episode and just be about Martian Manhunter. But I think they did a really good job at showing why Martian Manhunter cares so much about Alex and Kara. And you see flashbacks not just of Martian Manhunter, but you see Kara flashbacks, you see Alex flashbacks. You see when Alex is actually introduced into the DEO. You see when Kara gets her interview with Cat Grant. And I hope we could get to see more of these flashbacks. One I really want to see is Kara in high school, especially because we've seen all the grammar school or elementary school scenes, but now I really want to see Melissa Benoist play a high school student and play a flashback of Supergirl and see how that all interacts there. I don't know if we'll see it this season, but there's a lot of things I didn't expect to see this season, and we're seeing it, so you never know. But yeah, the flashbacks were great for all three characters, but especially Martian Manhunter. I haven't really talked to him yet. I haven't talked about him yet, but he was great in this episode too. You really feel for him in that flashback between him and Alex's father / Kara's father. And you see this friendship and this bond and how Hank dies and how he was pretty much a jerk. It was just great. And I applaud the actor for that, to play those two different roles, one as Martian Manhunter and the other as Hank Henshaw, and show that these are completely two different characters. And then you see how Hank actually integrated into the DEO, but then why he cares so much about Alex and Kara and how he's been watching them for such a long time, and not in a creepy way, in a good way. But yeah, this is a really good episode, and I say this every week, but I feel like the show keeps getting better and better, and it's already an amazing show. So I love this episode, and I can't wait for the Flash and Supergirl episode. It's gonna be so much fun. I've been waiting for this crossover ever since it's been announced, and even before then. Can't wait to see the chemistry between Melissa Benoist and Grant Gustin. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Unknown. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.